Auto Clinic every Wednesday from 10:30 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's rev up in 3, 2, 1.
It's another beautiful Wednesday morning, and the time is 10:32 a.m. on the 5th day in May 2021. And this is your weekly dose of everything cars and vehicle related. You're welcome to Splash 105.5 FM, the best radio station in this part of the Onakoya, the mechanic. And this is Auto Clinic with the mechanic. If you listen to us for the first time, it's a weekly radio show dedicated to talking about cars and the automotive industry at large. You can actually watch us live on the Splash FM Facebook page. Go to facebook.com/Splash FM 105.5. You could also join us on Instagram with the handle Auto Clinic NG. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, those are the handles we use at Auto Clinic NG. Today, I would be looking at some of the exciting things we've put in place for you and your listening pleasure. As usual, we will be starting with news and updates from the automotive world, after which we'll be discussing the engine lubrication system. We hope that you have your seatbelt fastened because it's going to be a cruise today. We won't be driving too fast and, of course, will not be too slow. When we're done with that, we coast towards the phone lines for the diagnosis of your vehicles and preferring solutions to your automotive concerns. Of course, the numbers you'll be able to call today will be given out to you at that time. When we open the phone lines, you'll have the opportunity to call in. So if you want to take your paper and pen, start writing down now. The numbers you would call will be 0809 155 1055, 0805699 8678, and 0706 949 3000. You'll be able to call in and have some interaction with us, especially if you have issues with your car. But first, let's start with the updates from the automotive world. Toyota is to invest $803 million into Indiana plant to build 2 new SUVs, including self-driving Lexus. Lamborghini set records first quarter and sold 2,422 vehicles from January to March in 2021. I'll give you the details of that right now. Toyota has announced an $803 million investment and 1,400 new jobs at the Princeton, Indiana auto manufacturing plant in preparation to introduce 2 all-new 3-row SUVs. The Japanese automaker did not specify the vehicles, but said one will bear the Toyota name, while the other will officially introduce the Lexus line to Toyota, Indiana. Toyota also added that the SUVs will feature a semi-automated driving system, which will allow for hands-free driving in certain conditions. A remote parking system, allowing the driver to park and unpark from outside the vehicle using a smartphone, and a digital key that turns a user's smartphone into their key and allows them to share it digitally. Ted Ogawa, president and CEO of Toyota Motor North America, said, "This investment and new vehicle lineup will allow us to continue our work with electrification, expand our portfolio to around 70 models globally by 2025, and meet the needs of our customers while we accelerate towards carbon neutrality." Lamborghini has announced it's delivered a total of 2,422 sport cars in the first 3 months of 2021. The record sales marks its best result since the Italian automaker was founded by Ferruccio Lamborghini back in 1963. Reacting to the positive growth, President and CEO of Lamborghini and Bugatti, Stefan Winkler, said that in a statement, "We are ready to pursue the new objectives we have set and to respond concretely with significant innovations to the moment of extensive transformation that is affecting the automotive industry as a whole." That's it on the update from the automotive world, and you're still listening to Auto Clinic on Splash 105.5 FM your integrity station. I'll take a short break right now. When I come back, we'll start with the topic for today. Don't go away.
If you don't know the transfer news, you might tell your friends your team has the top striker.
What are you talking about?
If you tell your friends your team has the top striker, they might loudly disagree. If they loudly disagree, the whole viewing center might get involved. If the whole viewing center gets involved, you might lose the argument. If you lose the argument, you might kick the floor in frustration. Before things get out of hand, settle it with Google Search. Get the latest football news, live scores, transfers, probabilities, and so much more on your Google app.
What do you need na safeguard?
Children them like to the play.
Them like to the play.
Small pigs that must jolly up. Oh.
Them like to the jolly up.
But remember one thing: protect them with safeguard soap. Protect them with safeguard. Protect them with safeguard soap from the teen and yama so the future go better.
Safeguard antibacterial soap. They come out every yama for body. It also they available for 50-gram size.
Uncle Dentist, what be cavities and how Colgate take they protect my teeth from cavities? Shey they use Comfort?
No dear, na hole for teeth they cause most tooth pain will be cavity. But if you use Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection, take brush every day. The confirmed formula could help keep natural calcium inside our teeth. We could protect them from tooth decay.
Time don't reach to upgrade to the world's most chosen toothpaste, Colgate, because Colgate locks calcium in.
Now, the Nigerian Dental Association, they recommend Colgate.
Charles!
Yes, mommy.
Go and bring 2 sachets of hypo bleach for me.
Why 2?
Because I'm using one to soak the whites and using one to kill all the germs.
But I can't see any germs here.
They are so tiny you can't see them, but they are there. And that is why I trust only hypo bleach to kill them all.
Make your white fabrics whiter and your household free of illness causing germs and viruses with the disinfecting power of hypo bleach.
Fresh breath is good, but strong teeth and fresh breath is even better. Use Oral-B 2-in-1 toothpaste for strong teeth and long-lasting fresh breath. Ladies and gentlemen, let's rev up in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Auto Clinic, and you're still listening to us on Splash 105.5 FM in Ibadan here. Of course, for all our viewers on Facebook and on Instagram, thank you very much for joining us. Today, we'll be looking at the engine lubrication system. When we talk about engine lubrication, we most likely are focusing on the engine oil. Now, what is engine lubrication? It is the process in which rubbing metal parts are separated by the flow of lubricants, which usually would be flowing in between them. Lubricants are always available, some in liquid, some as gas, but liquid is the most form of lubrication used in engines. Now, the mechanism of action of the lubrication system is something I'll quickly describe to you, so just listen closely now. You see, the process of lubrication in an internal combustion engine begins in the sump. Now, commonly it's known as the oil pan. So from here, the oil is pulled through a strainer by the oil pump, removing larger contaminants from the mass of the fluid. That's what the strainer will do. Then the oil goes through the oil filter. It is important to know that not all filters perform the same because there are various quality and types of oil filter that are out there. Now, a filter's ability to remove particles is dependent upon many factors, which includes the media material, which could be the size of the pores in there, the surface area, and the depth of the filter. The differential pressure across the media, and then you will notice that there will be a flow rate across the media. So oil is pumped through passageways to the various components of the engine, such as the camshaft, the main bearings, the rods, the pistons, and other components of the engine. Then gravity will pull the oil back down to the bottom of the engine to drain the oil into the sump, and the cycle repeats. So it becomes a cycle, just keeps going on and on. Now, the primary function of lubricant in the engine is to ensure that there's a minimal wear and tear that is going on by securely closing the clearance between moving parts such as shafts, bearings, etc. Now, lubrication also avoids the moving parts not to come in direct contact with each other. So it creates a film, usually thin film in between materials, metal materials in the engine to prevent wear and tear. Now, the oil also serves as a cleaning agent in an engine as it moves dirt particle into the oil pan from around the engine. So the smaller particles are filtered out by the oil filter, while the larger ones are retained in the oil pan because of gravity. They are heavier than the oil. Now, another purpose of engine lubricant is that it serves as a cooling system. You see, lubricating oil cools the moving parts of an engine and transfers the hot oil through the oil cooler into the oil pan. So that's why you have the oil pan on the lower part of the engine, and it's usually there's a lot of ventilation around there that takes the heat away from the engine oil. Some vehicle manufacturers will use oil cooler to actually reduce the amount of heat that is inside the engine oil as it's moving around the engine. Now, oil also creates a seal between the cylinder walls and the piston rings, and it reduces the exhaust gas blowby by absorbing some of it into the oil. Now, you see, the clearance between the rotating journals and bearing is filled with oil on most vehicles, and the oil acts as a cushioning agent when the bearing suddenly experiences heavy loads. So, oil reduces wear on the bearings. So, these are some of the things that oil will do in your engine, reducing the amount of heat that is inside the engine by taking it out. Apart from what the cooling system will be doing, is cleans the engine. So if your oil doesn't have enough detergent to clean the engine, it's not serving its primary purpose. If it will reduce wear and tear, if you're still having excessive wear and tear, it means that the oil is not doing what it's supposed to do. But now, that's enough about oil. Let's look at the major parts of the lubricating system of a car. So the first one we'll be looking at is the oil pan, which is also known as the oil sump. It is a reservoir in the shape of a bowl that stores the engine oil. That's the one you have on the lowest part of the engine. The oil circulates within the engine and comes back into the sump. So this part is usually located, of course, beneath the engine, making the oil to be easily removed through the bottom. That's when you want to drain it out. Now, the issue is that bad roads or the driving pattern of the driver can actually cause damage to the oil pan. So this is why the sump is made with a hard material that if featured with a stone guard sometimes underneath it. Now, the sump guard withstands many hits from uneven grounds or bad roads. So if you continuously drive your car on bad roads and the sump continuously hits the ground, at some point, you are going to have the sump so bad that the strainer will be sitting directly on the sump and will not be able to take in oil, which could knock the engine off your car. This is one of the things your mechanic needs to check out every time you go for a service. Also, you have the oil pump. You see, the oil pump is a component that helps to push the oil to all the moving parts of the engine. It is located at the bottom of the crankcase of your engine. So close to the oil sump, that's where the oil pump is located. It supplies oil to the filter before sending it further. So the oil pumps can eventually stop working, which will lead to damage to the engine. It can be caused by small particles inside the lubricating oil, which will choke the oil pump and the galleries. So to avoid this problem, changing your oil and filter is very necessary within a period of time. Now, I will tell you, if you're one of those in Nigeria that believe that when you buy a certain brand of oil, you should leave it inside the car for 1 year and all of that, you might be doing a disservice to your engine. Because if you don't know the condition of the engine at that time, if we had a situation where used oil analysis is being done regularly, then you can have an idea of the condition of the engine of your car. Without doing used oil analysis, you can't tell. So keeping oil in your car for 1 full year and you drive it all the time is not a wise thing at all to do. So check the manufacturer's recommended interval, change your oil within that period, and you will have some peace of mind. Now, the oil filter is a very much overlooked component of the lubricating system. Its job is to keep small particles by separating them from the oil so that clean oil can flow through the engine parts. Now, the oil pump allows the oil to flow through the oil filter to the galleries before reaching the engine parts. Now, if you use the wrong oil filter, if you use a bad oil filter, if you use a substandard oil filter, if you refuse to change your oil filter, you stand a very good chance of knocking the engine of your car. And if that happens, it will cost you a whole lot more than oil filter would generally cost. Now, you have the oil galleries because they are in the engine and they just allow oil to move quickly to moving parts of the engine, especially when you start in the morning. So the performance of an oil gallery determines how fast engine parts receive oil. The issue you will have is if the oil galleries are blocked. And what will block them? Sludge. What we call sludge, you using substandard engine oil that is not recommended for your car, you keeping the engine oil in the car for so long, ignoring check engine lights, especially when your car begins to burn excessive fuel, refusing to change your oil on time, all of this will build up sludge in your engine and eventually would ruin the engine of your car. At this juncture, the phone lines would be open. If you have any issue with your car, it's time to call 0809 155 1055, 0805699 8678, 0706 949 3000. If you have any issue with your car, you want to discuss anything related to the topic that we have on ground today, you could call in now. We have about 10 minutes to take your calls and would be able to round off for today. So I still continue with my call. Oh, we have that call. Let's take it first. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
I'm Olajide. I'm calling from Jericho.
Please turn down the volume on your radio.
Yeah, I just did that.
The feedback is not good at all. Okay, thank you. So go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I use a Toyota Camry pencil.
Okay. Camry pencil.
And yes, recently the belt, not the inner belt, not the normal belt, the inner belt in the engine.
Okay.
I've cut twice.
The timing belt.
Yeah, timing belt. Thank you. I've cut twice.
Okay.
And they are telling me I have to change the metals in the engine for it to get better, or I will change the engine. And I'm wondering, like, if the engine is bad, I have to change it, or there's a remedy I can do to it before changing it.
Okay, now the belt has snapped twice on the highway or within town?
Yes, on the highway.
On the highway.
Actually,
Okay,
first time on the highway, second time within the area.
It was when you probably was on heavy load at that time. Maybe you're trying to accelerate, trying to move, and then it just snaps on you like that. Yeah?
The second time I wasn't trying to accelerate. The first time, I was trying to accelerate, but the second time I was just driving. I was driving slowly, and then it stopped. Then I discovered the timing that I cut again for the second time.
Okay.
So the mechanic was like, they are going to have to do some metal change in the engine.
Yes,
change the metal.
That's the bearings. Okay. I just listened from the radio. I'll attend to that question now. Thank you for calling.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Okay, the timing belt has snapped twice. That's a sign that something is fundamentally wrong, because timing belt is something that you change about 60 to 75,000 miles on a vehicle. So if it snapped twice in succession, something is wrong. Sometimes it is the bearings that are the problem. Maybe one of them is bad and is locking up. Now, there are times that the problem is coming from inside the engine. The problem is so fundamental to the performance of the engine. Sometimes you have a camshaft issue, that the rotation is not good enough because of poor lubrication, or because the camshaft is bad, or the journal is bad. Sometimes it's the crankshaft itself, because the timing belt literally times the movement of the crankshaft and the timeshaft and the camshaft to prevent the piston from colliding with the valves. So because that's what it does, it is not supposed to snap. Because if it does, it means that those two parts will collide on the engine, inside the engine, and could actually ruin the engine. So what you need to do is trust your mechanic this time around to take things out. Let him take out the crankshaft, as he has mentioned, and he can take a look at the bearings. That's the metal bearings on the crankshaft. If the metal bearings on the crankshaft are actually worn, as he has suspected, or the crankshaft itself is worn, or there is loss of lubrication because the journals are blocked, then he needs to take care of that. Otherwise, you'll keep changing timing belts and eventually ruin that engine. So that's the advice I'll have for you. 0809 155 1055, 0805 699 8678, 0706 949 3000. So I have a question on Instagram here. This person says, what about those of us not within Nigeria? Well, I'll get back to your question. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Please turn down the volume on your radio.
Okay, I've moved out of it.
All right.
I want to have my name is Larry.
Okay.
From Ibadan.
Okay.
I want to ask a general question about fuel treatment.
Okay.
I see people pouring that liquid into their tank.
Okay.
I don't actually know the advantage.
Okay.
And at what stage should one be using it? If it is necessary.
Fuel treatment.
So I don't want us to follow them blindly. Is it advisable we would put fuel treatment?
Okay.
Or at what stage? What's the condition of the car whereby you can put the fuel treatment? That's my question.
Yes, thank you very much, Larry, for calling. You listen from the radio, I'll address that question. Thank you.
Okay,
so his question is about fuel treatment. He said he sees people just pour it into the tank and he wants to know at what point, why are they using it? I think there's a lot of myth surrounding that thing called fuel treatment. You see, there are different types of chemicals that you can pour into the tank of your car, and all of them called fuel treatment. There are octane boosters, there are injector cleaners, there are fuel system emulsifiers, there are fuel stabilizers. There are different forms of things you can put into your fuel to serve different purposes. Now, if it is the quality of fuel you are worried about that may not be good enough, an octane booster may help you boost the quality of fuel to match what your car requires. Now, there's an injector cleaner that some people use as well. Now, there are injector cleaners that you pour into the tank of your car and helps you to clean up the fuel line all the way to the fuel injectors and sometimes, in fact, the combustion chamber. Now, there are emulsifiers. Those ones actually convert whatever moisture you have in the tank into something, into a liquid or a chemical that can mix readily with the fuel of the car, and you can burn it off. So preventing all the stuttering, jacking, and loss of power. There's also fuel stabilizer, which is the one you're supposed to use when you're going to park your car for a while with petrol in it, because petrol does degenerate and go bad. You can't just keep it in your car and park the car there for long. By the time you come back, it would have gone bad. Sometimes it forms like tartar or gum. So if you put fuel stabilizer in there, it can maintain its properties for longer, and then you can come back to it. So it depends on what is being sold to you. The question really would be, what are you buying? And these people you see pouring stuff into the tank of their car, what are they pouring in there? Do you need it? That's the thing. Do you need that which they sell? Is it an emulsifier they have? Is it the fuel treatment? Is it the injector cleaner? Is it the octane booster? If you don't know what it is, then don't pour what you don't know into the tank of your car, because you could end up ruining the engine on that car. So it's something you want to avoid if you don't have clarity on it. We'll be able to take one more call, 0809-155-1055, 080-5699-8678, and 0706-949-3000. So somebody's asking, what about us not within Nigeria? And the person said, I sent you a message a while ago about my car. I drive a 2008 Honda Pilot. D on the dashboard blinks after driving for a while. But once I pull over the engine, it starts again. And the D that's blinking goes off. Okay, if you have a Honda and the D is flashing, I tell you this, your transmission is about to fail if you don't do something about it. D should remain on and not flash. That's an indicator for drive. If it keeps on coming on, then you have an imminent failure of your transmission. So go to your mechanic, run a diagnostic scan. It will point at what the issue is. It could be a solenoid problem you have on the transmission that you can easily replace and move on. It could be an electrical repair that is required to be done on that car. If you are unable to sort that out early enough, you have to change your transmission. But a diagnosis is where you must start from first. Hello, good morning. That's the final call we'll be able to take today. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Your name, where you're calling from?
I'm Tunde. I'm calling from Ibadan.
All right, please make it under 30 seconds. Ask your question.
Please, I drive a Toyota Camry Penske also.
Okay.
I've been having issues with my power steering.
Okay.
It started like giving sound sometimes ago, and I went to a mechanic. He said it was the power steering that's leaking. I thought for them the steering lock
that's leaking. Okay. Have you changed it now?
No, I did not do anything on it.
Oh.
Yes. So one thing now, he said I have to change the steering rack, then the power steering pump. I said, why? So I'm bothered now. That's why I'm calling.
Okay. All right. At some point, you will need to trust the judgment of your mechanic. If you have gone to him, he's been servicing your car, and he tells you that your power steering rack is bad or the steering pump is bad, you will have to, he will need to justify it for you, make it make sense to you, and you will have to buy into it for him to go ahead and do it. If he suspects that your rack is where the leakage is coming from, especially if it is the inner seals that are on the steering rack, on the pinion itself, then you will have to either change the rack or have it rebuilt. If it is the pump itself that has a problem, then you have to look into solving the problem of the pump by replacing it. Well, that's about as much as we'll be able to take today. I have worked with Aziz, my studio manager, and Elizabeth Chile Egbuta as my research assistant. Special gratitude to you for joining us today. Till I come your way again next week with another exciting episode of the program, I remain the mechanic Tunde Onakoya, reminding you that lubrication plays a key role in the life expectancy of your vehicle's engine. Thank you very much for listening.
You have just listened to Auto Clinic. Let's continue the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.